What's going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC Fight Night, Perth, Australia. Carlos Ulberg versus Dominick Reyes. And this is going to be my full card predictions. We are going to break down and predict every single fight on this amazing fight card. Amazing fight. Oh my God, this is a bummy fight card. The main event is interesting. You know, the resurgence of Dominick Reyes. Can he string together another win on this win streak against a guy in Carlos Ulberg, who is very, very close to a title shot. So if Reyes wins this fight, next thing you know, Reyes is going to be demanding Abu Dhabi to take on Micallef if Micallef beats Pereira very shortly at UFC 320. Anyway, to be honest, as I'm knocking down my phone right now, to be honest, this card really isn't that good, boys. Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Ersland co-main events. And I don't know. I think that's being shuffled around. I'm not 100% sure. I remember seeing at one point was Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras as the co-main event. But basically, let's be real. This is an Australian regional fight card. They just stacked this card with nothing but Australian fighters, which I understand they're trying to build the fan base over there. And that's what they're doing here. But we do have a quality main event. We have a couple interesting fights on the card. It's just nothing to really get too excited for. But I'm going to break it all down. If you guys could do me a favor and make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, the first fight of the night. We have Lookboonmee versus Elisha Thainara. What a banger women's strawweight fight. I can't wait for this one. I can't wait for this banger. Look, Lookboonmee is actually kind of decent, but kind of shitty at the same time. Her last loss was against Lupita Godinez, which was almost 4 years ago. Since then, she's on a 4-fight win streak. She beat Denise Gomes, which is a solid win, submitted Elise Reed, beat Bruno Brazil, and most recently beat Estela Nunes. Not the greatest opposition, but she has decent striking. She has decent grappling as well. Thainara just made her UFC debut coming off of Dana White's Contender Series and then whooped Molly McCann. Submitted her. I don't know. I'm going to go Thainara. There's moments throughout Lookboonmee's career where she'll just kind of look like trash. And I just think for her to win this fight, she's going to have to grapple early and often. I think Thainara is a decent enough grappler and also has good striking. She's 12-1. She's coming off a domination of Molly McCann, who's bigger and stronger than Lookboonmee. So I'm going to go Thainara via decision. I don't think she's going to get the finish, but I'm going to pick her via decision. And I know you guys really cared about that breakdown. Maybe I'll do an individual breakdown very soon. Anyway, next fight on the card. We have the silhouettes of Brando, Peričić versus Elisha, Ellison. I watched a little bit of tape on these guys. I mean, this is Kentucky State Fair versus Kentucky State Fair. This is like Kentucky State Fair co-main event for the Kentucky State Fair title here. And we can't even get pictures. I mean, think about this. The UFC is a multi-billion-dollar organization. Think about that Paramount deal. And this is what we're getting. This isn't even their actual records. Peričić is how I think you actually pronounce his name, is 4-1. Ellison is 5-1. And the little bit of fight tape that I watched between these guys, I think Peričić is better. I think he's the better striker. I think he has better finishing ability. Both of them are just kind of shitty, amateurish Kentucky State Fair heavyweights. But I'm going to go with Peričić. I'm going to pick him via first-round KO. There's really not a whole lot of analysis here. One of these guys is going to slop their way to a victory. And I'm going to go Brando, Peričić. He has a loss, but that was a year and a half ago. He got submitted. I watched a little bit of that, but, I mean, he was doing okay in that fight. And then you have Ellison, who lost a year and a half ago as well and got subbed. So it all cancels each other out. I'm going Peričić. I'm going to say first-round KO. Maybe win second round via KO as well. But one of these guys I think is going to get KO'd. Next fight on the card. Montague versus Luana Carolina. Now we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of the card. Monahue's coming over from PFL. She did okay there, but she's fighting 3-1, 4-2, 4-2. She has okay grappling, okay striking. Luana Carolina kind of saying mediocre. She's on a 3-fight win streak. Carolina win over Lucia Podolova. Before that, beat Julia Stolarenko. Before that, beat Ivana Petrovic. Before that, lost to Joanne Wood and lost to Molly McCann. I'm just automatically going to assume if you lose to Molly McCann, you're probably really just never going to improve after that. Even though she's racked up some wins, I'm going to go Montague, 6-0. Decent fighter. Luana Carolina, hit or miss, has okay striking, but it seems like every time she even takes the slightest step up, she loses. I'm going to pick the undefeated younger fighter in Michelle Montague. And she has quite a bit of submissions. I mean, her last few fights, hold on, is every single fight? Yeah. Her last 5 fights, she won via sub. Rear naked choke, rear naked choke, rear naked choke. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke for Michelle Montague at UFC Perth. Next fight on the card. All right, now we're actually getting to some decent fights. Colby Thicknesse versus Josias Musasa. Man, this dude looks like the ultimate NPC. This dude looks like the ultimate NPC. Maybe I could drop 10 units on him. Man, the dogs might be barking. According to Tapology, Thicknesse is a plus 140 underdog. And I think the dogs could be barking on this card. And I think some units could be laid down. I like how I'm just joking around through this Fight Night prediction video. Listen, if you're picking Colby Thicknesse, you're just saying, man, he fought okay against Alessandro Topuria, who's only getting hyped up off his last name. I know Musasa got finished by Carlos Vera, but I had decent hopes for him. Very explosive, nasty KO power. Got caught, got submitted. Dana White's Contender Series performance wasn't all that impressive. Won a split decision there. Before that, flying knee. Before that, KO. Before that, KO. I'm going to go Musasa to get it done. Thicknesse, I think to pick him, you basically have to say, man, he did a hell of a job losing to Topuria's older brother, who we don't even know is good. Where Musasa, I've seen some skills there. I've seen some nasty hands, some crazy speed. Thicknesse struck with Topuria. I think Musasa is going to be the better striker. I think he has more power. I think he has better finishing ability. I'm going to go Musasa. I'm going to say second round KO to get it done over Colby Thicknesse. Next fight on the card, we have Jamie Mullarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. Bedoya had a lot of people fooled at one point in time. He had a lot of people fooled. He went split decision. A lot of people thought he beat Chaos Williams. And then after that, it was like people were kind of hyping him up. He loses to Kenan Song. He loses to Jai Herbert. And now we kind of don't know where to put him. His boxing looked good before. His durability looked good. His striking looked good before. But it was like we were kind of overrating Chaos Williams. And then we were kind of giving him a participation trophy for losing to him. But then you have Jamie Mullarkey got KO'd against Hoofy in his last fight. What can you really take away from that? Because, and by the way, does this dude not look like Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog? Does this dude not look like Eustace? Anyway, lost to Hoofy. I don't think Bedoya is the level of striker of Hoofy. Lost to Nasrat. Nasrat's a very crisp boxer. Maybe closer to the level of Bedoya, you know, in terms of maybe it's somewhat comparable. I think Haparas is the way better boxer than like a guy like Hoofy. And then before that, got a win against John McDessie. A loss to Muhammad Naimov. Got KO'd there. A win over Francisco Prado. Bedoya's on 3 straight losses, though. But Jai Herbert's not bad. And Bedoya has good boxing. Mullarkey's been chinned quite a few times. He's coming off back-to-back KOs. He's been out for a year and a half. I know Bedoya's been out for a year as well, but he's 28 years old. He's 3 years younger. Has a okay reach advantage. Nothing really super significant. I'm going to go Bedoya to get it done. I think he knows his career's on the line here. He's 3 straight losses. And Mullarkey's going to strike with him. And I think Bedoya is going to be slicker on the feet. I think he's going to be faster on the feet. I think Bedoya can take a shot far better than the chin of Jamie Mullarkey. I know this Eustace chin looks like it could take a shot. I'm not so sure after back-to-back KOs against Hoofy and Haparas. And even before that, you know, 2 fights prior to that against Naimov. So I'm going to pick Bedoya to get it done. I think he rocks him. in this fight, but maybe Mullarkey survives. I could see Bedoya putting him out, to be honest, but I'm going to say Bedoya decision or maybe a second round KO. But I'm going to say Bedoya gets it done via decision over Jamie Mullarkey. Next fight on the card, we have Jonathan Micallef versus Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott got brutally fraud checked in his last fight, got embarrassed by Suk Kyung Ko. Got outclassed, got embarrassed, got destroyed. Looked like a total scrub in that fight. But before that, he was looking decent. Beat Basil Hafez, who really didn't belong in the UFC. Before that, beat Preston Parsons. Before that, beat Val Woodburn. Micallef came off Dana White's Contender Series, where he got a decent win there, got a triangle choke win there, and then beat Kevin Jousset in his last fight. I think it really comes down to, can Oban Elliott out-grapple Micallef? Because if he can, he wins this fight. But Micallef has decent takedown defense. He has decent grappling. And I think his striking is far superior. And we're watching Oban Elliott get brutally outstruck in his last fight. Get his takedown shut down in his last fight. And I feel like, I know this isn't always the case, but a lot of these dudes have hometown advantage. They're fighting in Australia. I don't know where Oban lives, but he's from Wales. He's got to travel to Australia regardless. And Micallef is the far superior striker. So if Oban can get the grappling going, he will win. But I think that's a big question if he can. And Micallef has a massive 5-inch reach advantage, 77-inch reach. His striking looked good against Kevin Jousset. If he can stuff the takedowns, I think he outstrikes Oban Elliott. I'm going to go Micallef to get it done. I'm going to say a close 29-28 decision win. Touches up Oban Elliott on the feet, but Elliott gets some positional control, gets a couple takedowns, but Micallef scrambles back up. And I think it's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to go 29-28 decision win for Jonathan Micallef. Next fight on the card, we have Cameron Rowston versus Andre Petroski. Now, Cameron Rowston got brutally out-grappled by Torres Finney on Dana White's Contender Series. But since then, 4 straight wins, but the opposition is terrible. 1-3, I would have whooped that guy and mugged that guy. 3-1, I would have whooped that guy and mugged that guy. 4-3, and then 5-0 on Dana White's Contender Series to now get a shot in the UFC. And Petroski, I know he hasn't been super consistent. He lost to Edmund Shabazi in his last fight. Got outstruck, got his takedown shut down. Before that, had 3 straight wins. Rodolfo Vieira, Dylan Bucka, and Josh Frem. Which, honestly, Rodolfo Vieira is the only quality win there. And Rodolfo Vieira is primarily a grappler who was able to be shut down. And then Petroski was able to outstrike him. I really don't have faith in Petroski. Sometimes I get something in my head and I just can't really, I have trouble picking certain guys. I can't get that Jacob Malkoon loss out of my head where he shot a takedown, got KO'd by his hip and just fell to the ground. I know he beat Frem since then. I know he beat Bucka since then. I know he beat Hiviera since then. But this dude's from Australia. The Australian guys have the home field advantage, and Petroski's 34 years old. According to Topology, he's the slight favorite. I told you, boys. I told you. The dogs are going to be barking. I'm going to go Cameron Rowston. I'm going to pick him to get it done. Petroski doesn't seem to like to actually grapple. He has good wrestling, but when he does, he uses up his entire gas tank. I mean, he was shit against Gerald Meerschaert. And so I think he might grapple early and have a decent amount of success early, but I think Cam Rowston will be able to get off on the feet, avoid the takedowns late, and probably win a decision. I'm going to say 29-28 decision win for Cam Rowston as well. That's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm sticking with. So, yeah, I'm not picking Petroski. I'm picking Rowston via decision. Next fight on the card, the featured prelim. We have Navajo Stirling versus Adolfo Bellato. Navajo Stirling, I feel like got a bit of hype because, oh man, he trains at City Kickboxing, man. He's going to be one of these great strikers. He's undefeated. He's coming off a Dana White's Contender Series with a left hook KO. Then he comes in, looks like not that great, but okay against Tukos Tokos, who's a scrub. Then beats Ivan Ersland. Didn't look particularly amazing there either. But he's fighting a Adolfo Bellato, who faked being KO'd by an up kick against Paul Craig. I think his leg was injured. He wanted to find a way out. He faked being KO'd. I will never pick that bum ever in my life. He has decent power, but his striking is dog shit. He's going to try to grapple. Stirling has good takedown defense, good kickboxing, long, rangy kickboxing guy, trains at CKB. 7-0. I know he hasn't looked great, but even Arslan is kind of on the level of Bellato. And Bellato is, again, faking being KO'd against Paul Craig to try to get a DQ win that he ended up getting a no contest in. And he should have been cut from the organization because it was so brutally fake. So I'm going to go with Navajo Stirling. I think he's just going to fight long and rangy, touch him up on the feet. And I think Bellato's actually going to go to sleep. You know, with Stirling having two basically unimpressive performances to start off his UFC career, I think, you know, he's like, now it's my time to shine. This dude got KO'd by Paul Craig. I got to go out there. I'm from New Zealand. I'm going to kind of have a hometown crowd here. I'm going to go out there and put Bellato's lights out. I'm going to go Navajo Stirling to get it done. Second round KO over Rodolfo Bellato. Next fight on the card. Opening up the main. How many fights are on this card? That's what I need to know. Let me look at Tapology real quick. I think it's 14 fights, actually. Yeah, it's 14 fights. We have 14 fights. That's insane. But anyway, opening up the main card, we have Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. Charlie's been out for a bit. He hasn't fought in a year and a half since beating Trevor Peek. And that was kind of a war. Before that, KO'd Alex Reyes, who was coming back from a long-ass layoff. Before that, outside the organization. Tom Nolan on a 3-fight win streak, beat up Vyacheslav Borshov, beat up Alex Reyes as well. Didn't get to finish there, so there's a opponent in common. And then Victor Martinez KO'd him, and then lost to Nicholas Mota. Was kind of winning, got clipped up, KO'd, boom, dropped and finished. And then before that, beat Bogdan Grad on Dana White's Contender Series, which is actually a decent win, to be honest. He's been far more active. You know, in the last year and a half, he's fought 3 times. I think the Nicholas Mota loss was kind of a fluke. He's 25 years old, arguably heading towards his prime. 3-inch height advantage, not a significant reach advantage. Campbell's been out for a while. I think Tom Nolan's going to get it done. I think this is going to be primarily striking. I could see Campbell trying to mix in the grappling, but even Nolan's grappling is good as well. So I don't see a world. I think Charlie Campbell's actually pretty good, but I don't see a world where he goes out there and ragdolls Tom Nolan to the ground and finishes him. I don't see a world where he goes out there and brutalizes Tom Nolan on the feet. I know Mota did, but that was kind of fluky. So maybe Lightning can strike twice, but I don't think that's the case. So I'm going to pick Tom Nolan to get it done. I'm going to say he wins via decision. I know I'm picking a lot of decisions, but I'm going to say Tom Nolan gets it done via decision. Next fight on the card. Yeah. We got Justin Tafa versus the silhouette of Louis Sutherland. If you could see the Tapology pick of Sutherland, man, he looks jacked in the pit. He looks just like me, jacked. A bummy heavyweight matchup. We don't even have a picture from a multi-billion-dollar company on their website. Justin Tafa is primarily a striker. He's looking for KOs. His wrestling is dog shit. He's got Robella's Despain wrestling. He has nasty KO power. He has good striking. He's like a Family Dollar Mark Hunt, the Tafa brothers are. But like, I can't ever forget the way he looked against Carl Williams. Looks scrubby as hell. His last fight got brutalized by Taliesin Teixeira. Meanwhile, Louis Sutherland's on a 4-fight win streak. He has grappling and striking. I think Tafa's a little bit better striker overall, but I think Sutherland's going to shoot the takedown. And don't forget, Junior Tafa? He fought somebody, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. He fought somebody like last fight, a short notice replacement. And the way he got taken down was humiliating. He just like sat down. Like, dude shot a double leg and then he just sat down. I don't trust the Tafa brothers to ever get better. I think their wrestling is dog shit. I think, like, if Tafa tried to press me in public, I would literally shoot a single leg and I would throw him down on the ground. And I'd be like, easy. So all this to say, I'm going Louis Sutherland. I see Sutherland getting it done. He hasn't fought great opposition. 4-1, 3-2, 5-7, 9-5. He lost in Bellator a year and a half ago. But I think he's the more complete fighter. Unless he gets clipped early, Tafa has no cardio as well. The Tafa brothers are just scrubby guys they keep around because the heavyweight division sucks ass. I know the other junior Tafa went down to light heavyweight. Scrubby there as well. So I'm going to go Louis Sutherland to get it done. I think he's going to take him down and pound him out. I think Tafa will have some moments in the first round, but then get taken down. And then I think come second round, he's going to be exhausted. Sutherland's going to shoot another takedown, take him down, beat him up against the cage. And it's going to be like an anticlimactic TKO, ground and pound TKO by Louis Sutherland. Next fight on the card, we have Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. This is a tough fight to pick right here because Jake Matthews is Mr. Inconsistent, but Neil Magny likes beating up on kids, and Jake Matthews kind of has a young face. I mean, like if you really squint your eyes and you don't have great vision, you can imagine this is like an 8-year-old boy. And you could imagine. And then Neil Magny, I would favor Neil Magny in a scenario like that. I would favor Neil there, okay? But listen, I don't think this is a guaranteed win for Jake Matthews, but I'm picking Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews, 3-fight win streak, beat Chidi and Jaquani, looked incredible in his last fight, rear naked choke, beat Francisco Prado, which isn't an easy matchup by any means, beat Phil Rowe, lost to Michael Morales, but look where Michael Morales is now. I know Jake Matthews sometimes looks amazing, and then other fights he kind of looks like shit even if he wins. But Neil Magny's damn near 40 years old. He's 38 years old. He's coming off a win against Elisha Zaleski, which is insane to me. A month ago that he got that finish. I picked Zaleski in that fight, so maybe I'm just a Neil Magny hater. But before that, lost to Carlos Prates, got brutalized there. Before that, got beat up by Michael Morales. Again, these are good. This is good opposition. Before that, beat Mike Malott. Mike Malott was dominating him and just gave up in the third round because he had no cardio. Before that, lost to Ian Machado Gary. Neil Magny is fighting all the killers. All the killers. That's crazy. Outside of his own children. He's fighting killers. You get a bad grade. You come home with a bad grade that you need to get signed and take back to school, Neil Magny will push you up against the fence and he will whoop your little ass. Anyway, Neil Magny is going to want to grapple. His grappling has regressed. His striking is kind of dog shit. Jake Matthews' boxing is really solid. And as long as Jake Matthews, like the halfway decent Jake Matthews shows up, I think he wins this fight. Neil Magny's durable, has good cardio. Could Jake Matthews KO him? Sure. But Jake Matthews doesn't have like nuclear power by any means. So if Jake Matthews gets a finish, probably drops him and then like a rear naked choke. But I'm going to say Jake Matthews clear-cut 30-27 decision win over Neil Magny. Jake Matthews has gone a hard 3 rounds. He's not going to gas. Neil Magny is basically going to need him to gas to be able to get it done. So I'm going to go Jake Matthews 30-27 decision. Next fight on the card. The featured fight on UFC Perth. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras. Man, this card's getting me excited, boys. This is actually a good fight, okay? I know I keep saying that, but this is actually a decent fight. But how do you pick Taveras? I really don't see this one. Lost to Davey Grant. I know Davey Grant's kind of criminally underrated. Before that, beat Sergey City. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. Before that, got a win over Cortavius Romius on Dana White's Contender Series, but that's 2 fucking years ago at this point. 2 years ago at this point. You got Jack Jenkins coming off a loss against Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos is very, very good. I picked Santos in that fight. Before that, KO'd Herbert Burns. Not the greatest win. I mean, it's a guy named Herbert. Before that, lost to Chepe Mariscal. I picked Chepe Mariscal. Before that, beat Jamal Emmers. I thought Jamal Emmers actually won that fight. So I got a good history in picking Jack Jenkins fights. I picked Santos. I picked him against Burns. I picked Chepe to beat him. And I actually picked Jamal Emmers to beat him as well. Which technically I was wrong, but I was right. Taveras has good striking. I don't think it's as good as Jack Jenkins. Jack Jenkins has nasty leg kicks, nasty body kicks. He's decently defensively responsible. And I don't, where does Taveras win this fight? He's not outstriking him. I think Jenkins is going to chop up that leg. I think he's going to batter him. I think he's going to land the more damaging shots. Jack Jenkins is very durable. He can eat a shot to land a shot. And I think Jenkins just does more damage overall with his strikes. And I don't think Taveras is going to come in with a grappling heavy game plan. And even if he did, I'm not sure he could just maul Jenkins to the ground. I don't think he could. So I'm going to go Jack Jenkins to get it done. I think he beats up his legs, beats up his body, but probably goes to decision. I don't think he's going to get a finish. City did finish him on Dana White's Contender Series, but it was a controversial stoppage. It was an early stoppage. That's why they ran it back in the UFC. So I don't think Jenkins is going to put him out of there, but I do think he's in a bat of the leg. It's going to set up the shots on the feet, and Jenkins is going to outstrike him. I think it'll be competitive in the first round, but I'm going to say Jack Jenkins gets it done, 29-28 decision win. Next fight on the card, the co-main event. We have Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Erslan. This fight could go either way. It really could. 33-year-old Ivan Erslan, coming off a loss against Navajo Stirling where he didn't look great. Coming off a loss against Iwan Kutalaba. His last wins against Bogdan Ganiko at KSW. Before that, also lost in KSW. Jimmy Crute's 29 years old, but damn, does he have a lot of damage on him. And I think Erslan's the far better striker. I think he could clip Jimmy Crute on the chin and put him to sleep. But he got his win. He beat Marcin Prachnio in his last fight. Got a submission there. But before that, man, he hadn't won a fight in years. Had a draw against Alonzo Menefield, then got finished by Alonzo Menefield, then had a weird fight with Bellato. I don't even remember what happened there. I don't know why. Let me see actually what happened there. I forgot. What happened there? Oh, it was a draw. Yeah, he got a 10-8 round, right? I think he lost the first 2 rounds and then came back in the 3rd round. But Bellato's a scrub. This is a coin flip. But you guys know what I've been saying. The dogs are barking. Erslan, the underdog here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. About the underdog bullshit. I don't use odds to pick my fights. But Jimmy Crute, I think he already has CTE, man. The way he kind of walks is weird. He doesn't look as fresh as he once did. He's kind of punch drunk a little bit. I think I'm going to go Ivan Erslan to KO him. I know probably, let me see, he'll tap out. Yeah, 90% is taking Crute. 90%. I just don't, I think, I get he got a win in his last fight. And what's his name hasn't won a fight in a year and a half in KSW, and he's 33. But Jimmy Crute's like a 39 in MMA years and has taken significant amounts of damage over his career. I think basically it's Jimmy Crute on the ground, Erslan on the feet. I think Erslan's going to clip him on the feet and KO him. I'm going to go Ivan Erslan. I'm going to say 2nd round KO over Jimmy Crute. I may come to regret that prediction. I was back and forth on that. I could see Crute taking him down and subbing him, though. But I'm going to go Erslan 2nd round KO. Early 2nd round KO. Main event. We have Carlos Ulberg versus Dominick Reyes. I feel like there's a lot of people just hoping Dominick Reyes, man. We want the resurgence of Dominick Reyes. And it is crazy. After that long winless streak, now he's reeled off 3 straight wins. KO'd Dustin Jacoby. KO'd Anthony Smith. KO'd Nikita Krylov, which I was impressed with the Nikita Krylov win. But we have to understand, all those guys outside of Nikita Krylov are kind of scrubby. And I do think it would be a crazy story if Dominick Reyes went out there and won another fight and put himself in title contention in 2025, 2026, considering he lost to Jones back in 2020. Went on this crazy losing streak, was chinny as hell. But listen, I think Reyes is getting overrated for beating bummy opposition. I mean, Anthony Smith, a tumbleweed blows by, and he will curl up into a ball and quit. I get the Jacoby KO was pretty sick. The Nikita Krylov KO, they were both slopping up strikes, and Reyes just got to him. I think Ulberg's actually criminally underrated. At one point, I was saying he was overrated. Oh, he's from City Kickboxing. He's getting overrated because he's got, decent striking. He's 12-1. He's coming off a win over Jan Blachowicz, who beat the dog shit out of Reyes in his prime. Ulberg now beat Jan on the decline a bit, and it was a close fight. Before that, beat Volkan Ozdemir. Before that, beat Alonzo Menefield. Before that, beat Dong Wang Jong. Submitted him, I think, in the 3rd round. Didn't look that impressive up until that point. Ulberg's super well-rounded. He's 34 years old, but he's a young 34. Hasn't taken a whole lot of damage. Has 1 loss, and I believe it was his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually look that back up right now. I'm ill-prepared. I believe it was his UFC debut. Yeah, it was, against Kennedy Nzechukwu. Got KO'd way back in 2021, which is crazy saying way back in 2021. Where's the time gone? I hate to burst your guys' bubble, but I think Reyes is overrated right now. and Ulberg is underrated. I don't think this is going to be a Johnny Walker, Ming Yang Zhang type fight where, holy shit, Johnny Walker won. I think it's Reyes' time to lose. I think it's time for him to get back on that losing streak. I'm going to go Ulberg to get it done. I don't trust Reyes' chin. I get he hasn't got KO'd in a bit. It's been 3 years since he got KO'd by a jab from Ryan Spann, who's a scrub. Ulberg is slick on the feet. Ulberg's chin is pretty good. He's not taking a whole lot of damage. He has grappling that he can mix in. I know Dominick Reyes has decent wrestling as well. And I just see a scenario where Ulberg kind of styles on him. And then I think Reyes has his confidence back. And I think it's actually a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing. I think he's like, yeah, man, I got this. I'm going back into title contention. And I think he walks into a counter shot. Ulberg slumps and puts him down. Then all of a sudden people start acting like Ulberg's a title contender, which he will be if he beats Reyes. I mean, this long streak, you look at the kind of the layout of the light heavyweight division. But all this to say, I'm going Ulberg. I think Ulberg's going to slump Dominick Reyes. Probably in the second round. And I just think Ulberg will win regardless. Even if it's a decision, I think Ulberg will win. Reyes isn't going to be able to just grapple him to the ground and beat him up, hold him down. I think Ulberg's too big, too strong for that. And I just do believe Ulberg is the fresher fighter. I keep wanting to say Ulberg's younger just because in MMA terms, in his MMA career, he is younger. But he's actually 34 years old. So for him, it's now or never. He's in his prime, either now or never. Now, light heavyweight division, you can go a little bit longer. But I think Ulberg gets it done. I think he slumps out Dominick Reyes in the second round, probably with a counter shot. I think Reyes is going to come in, believe in his own hype a little bit. They're going to be kind of trading, feeling each other out in the first round. Then boom, Ulberg catches him with a nasty shot. Maybe even hits him with a stiff jab and snaps his head back. And Reyes' nose is bleeding before the end of the first round. And then Reyes is like, I'm good. I landed a couple. I'll take one to land one. I'm been good for a couple years now. Starts getting aggressive, looking for a big shot. And Ulberg slumps him out cold. And I know Ulberg isn't like a crazy finisher. He hasn't gotten a finish in a year and a half now. And even his last 5 fights, only 2 KOs and one's against Potieria. But I don't trust Reyes' chin. Once you get an off button like that, you don't get it back. He just hasn't taken that many shots in his last 3 fights. I think his brain is still ready and willing to shut off at a moment's notice. And I think Carlos Ulberg puts him out cold in the second round. So that's it. There are my predictions for UFC Fight Night Perth. I know a lot of people are going to want Reyes to win. They want to see Reyes get it done. They want to see Reyes have that resurgence, but I think Ulberg gets it done. I really do. This card is kind of underwhelming, though, to be honest. I know we just went through the whole card. Kind of underwhelming. I'll be watching it live on Saturday night. If you care to join me, I'll be streaming as well. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your main event pick is, and I'll see you in the next video.